Switzerland aninyi banku tumal mu beto na doku sone yata atariata akoita andung alanna yata Gambia banko kan Supersonics le dinkiral siyata katambinyin tumal mu meti Supersonics be banku tan sabani nani leto fata findu bankol to dung ila Google Play Store to wala ila Apple app sign ye Supersonics la money transfer app o download pour que ifa munafang na service olla
fu muy fanaan ak kuy wut ku ko wétali xanaa delloo buntu gi war la naa boole yaa Fatus Guest House tijjil na leen buntu bi ñu ngi leen fa am ak ñaari cabinet salle yu yaañña
amal leen li nga xamante ne mooy cabinet ak salle ñu ngi leen amal AC ak fan
salle bi nag lépp li ngeen soxla am na fa sofa yu nooy ñoo fa nekk TV bang fa cabinet boo dugga lal yu nooy leen fa amal nañ leen fa AC ak li nga xam ne moom mooy fan toilette yu set wicc amal nañ leen fa kitchen microwave fridge en room bu baax dama ne teranga day mut moo taxit yaa Fatus Guest House amal leen extra kitchen lépp lu ngeen bëgg a togg mun ngeen ko toggee si gas cooker bii nii
kuy xalam di si jaayu nag barke bi yaay borom amal ne li nga xamante ne mooy ndox ak courant 24/7 bu leen tiit bu leen ragal bu leen xoof ndax amal ne lii di CCTV caméra
seet si leen ñu si Farafenni gannaaw garage base bi Kawur highway
very clean every day am na cleaning service ratio bi amul fenn
yaa Fatus Guest House teranga àdduna bët kon nag seet si leen ñu
Taka kodo mutaka bonang UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland aninyi banku tomal mu meto Supersonics le itadulate anada di masanji jama Gambia banko kam ise kodo tano le ibe dawo da birin katon fokoina andung batatije hade batatije isa kodo tano le ka bonam bantala bankol to birin UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland aninyi banku tomal mu beto na doku sone yata atariata akoita andung alanna yata Gambia banko kan Supersonics le dinkiral siyata katambinyin tomal mu meti Supersonics be banku tan sabani nani leto fata findu bankol to dung ila Google Play Store to wala ila Apple app sign ye Supersonics la money transfer app o download pour que ifa munafang na service olla
Okay, we welcome you all for this very important gathering, which is a press conference concerning the recent incident that happened last month, March 15th, to be precise. I will go on straight and read the press statement. Members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. I welcome you all to this sad, inconvenient but necessary press conference. Sad because Jibril Cisse will never be with us again. His tragic killing is a great loss to his family and our beloved community. Inconvenient because 22 of our young people are in police captivity without charges from the 15th day of March to this day. Ladies and gentlemen, Gambians and people of the world, Jibril Cisse was a man of great value, positive attitude and impeccable character, a devoted Muslim, a hard-working youth, and a true patriot. His demise is highly regrettable. A Senegalese man, a Senegalese armed robber, stabbed him to death while trying to rob a European neighbor of Jibril. Jibril's desire to help the victim of robbery led to his uncivilized murder by one Ghana C. I want to take this opportunity to kindly call for a minute of silence to pray for Allah to grant him the highest place in Jannah. Amen. Leaving behind a wife and a child in this difficult moment, we are with you in thoughts and prayers. We extend our deepest condolences to your family and loved ones. Ladies and gentlemen, even in our everyday life, most of us are inundated by a flood of information and misinformation, competing claims and contradictory ideas battle for our attention. The rapidly growing complexity for our world and our lives intensifies the difficulties in knowing what to believe or how to act. Today, we will tell the world how the fish meat factory in Sanyang is not only unsustainable, but polluting our communities beyond acceptable limits: air, land, and water pollution. The unbearable smell from the factory makes life very difficult for our people. Our fundamental human rights are affected as the quality of air we breathe is illicitly low due to the factory's high pollution potential. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of the world, the dumping of fish in the ozone over the years has gone viral in this country. This is often done by fishermen whom the factories cannot buy from. Overfishing is an alarming rate with insignificant effect on our food basket. Our fish stock is dwindling fast, and affordability has become an unbearable challenge for most Gambians. Furthermore, tourism is the biggest contributor to our gross domestic product, GDP, after agriculture. The sector creates numerous jobs and income-earning ventures for many youths. The sector is concentrated along the coastline and highly beneficial to the communities along the coast. However, the factories have crippled local tourism businesses due to pollution, which renders many youths jobless. Women gardeners and schools children are most vulnerable to the effect of the factory. In Sanyang, the factories were dumping liquid waste in women's gardens and other unauthorized places. Such illegal activities have affected soil productivity in the affected areas and caused insect infestation in the crop fields. For a long period, the factory in Sanyang had no functional waste water treatment plant. To date, it is unclear whether there is a functional treatment plant. Schools near the factory are forced to shut down anytime the factory is in operation due to unbearable air pollution. With all the violation of the fundamental environmental laws ladder of the Gambia, none of the factories along the coast have ever been prosecuted by the court of law. A case in point is the Golden Lead factory that was catched for environmental violations and sued by the National Environment Agency, NEA, before executive interference in the due process for an out-of-court settlement. This is unfair, unjust, and betrayal of public interest. We, the people of coast, bear the biggest burden of environmental pollution and demand a fair trial for the violations. Since 2017, the people of the community had been expressing concerns over the actions of the factory. We had written letters of concern to all the authorities, but no justice served. In 2018, out of frustration and despair, we staged a peaceful protest against the pollution and other environmental destruction in our community. Series of community engagement were held, including visits to the factory and other places, where they illegally dumped waste with government authorities. That led to a 6-month closure. However, the factory is back in full operation and polluting the community badly. We also undertook a series of media engagement to discuss the issue we are challenged with. None come to our aid. Since the arrival of the factory, there is an increase in crime rate in Sanyang: theft, attempted rape, armed robbery, assault, and murder. So we all died before you listen to our plight. We seek nothing but justice. Ladies and gentlemen, as vulnerable as we are, with little capacity to solve these challenges, we felt neglected and marginalized and discriminated at all our complaints lodged to the concerned authorities. Our resources are overexploited, our jobs are lost, and our lives and livelihood threatened. The people of the Gambia, in addition, we wish to bring your attention to the following natural resources conflict in our communities. At Faraba Bantang incident, where security men killed 3 youngsters and injured many of them during a forceful defense of a private mining company against the resident. The police and the residents were victims of the state manipulation, structural biases, and negligence. The detention of 5 youngsters in Gunjur for wanting to stage a protest against the Golden Lead factory, police intimidation, and brutality. The killing of Jibril Cisse in Sanyang by a Senegalese citizen, leading to a violent protest and subsequent detention of 50 youngsters from Sanyang. The killing of Jibril led to the expression of long-standing frustration caused by the lack of justice towards the persistent environmental violations and pollution by the fish meal factory and mining companies in Sanyang. 22 of our youths are currently still in detention at Mile 2 Central Prison without charges since on the 15th day of March 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, we have suffered enough from the activities of the factory, and we kindly seek immediate international intervention. So long these factories continue to exist, both lives and livelihoods are threatened, natural resources-related conflict will persist. We want to regain trust and confidence in the concerned government authorities and are therefore urgently calling for a closure of the factory. Appropriate intervention to this crisis will lead to greater peace, positive social cohesion, and stability of our motherland. In conclusion, we humbly seek the consideration of all Gambians, government, civil society organizations, and the international community on our plight. Previous efforts to deal with this constrained situation did not have the needed effect. Unfortunately, the Ministries of Fisheries and Environment, plus their affiliated technical department and agencies, did not take this urgent concern seriously. However, the principal environmental inspector of the NEA was assaulted by a dog of the Chinese fish meal factory in Khartoum. This leaves us with no other option than to seek restoration through the shutdown of the fish meal factories and in the interest of our nation. We demand the release of our youths. The inaction of the government on our plight has degenerated to the current situation in our community. It was not only the killing of Jibril. You do not need to be behind a trigger for a whole to know you are killing. Thank you all for your kind attention. Bodo, that was in local language.
Yeah,
just
someone else. You can come here. See.
Go, not see. Up.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. Mo be kontona mil ma be tajang. Nyimu be kuma balati ka kuma kanki dunia pour nyin kama ko mol salon. Mine be kering sanyan sate kono jang. Mine be sanyan kol bulo kono at this point in time. Bayri kulle be kering o kulle kede sanyan jang. Mi yalon ko amam mo kumpa bari Gambia jang fokata Gambia bandala. Follow members of the press mbal be kontona altona konton senawala ntol min fana bi jang members of the high table and Sanyang kol be kontona etol ni konton senawala batandila la ko min keta talati Jibril Cisse molom mi yalon ko ay daji ko kendol soto daji ko saharingo molom mi yalon ko ay hormoni buña soto katala balomati andon bankudin kendol fana mati Jibril ala saya akade Sanyang kole nimi solati ni kuya anim balafa Jibril ala saya sunta minna wolo mo nyinte ko Sénégalais dingo wole tata suñaro la Jibril na siñoya mimuti baboti Jibril tata wala to ka wo protect anin ka kanandi pour min satinda ase tanka wo suñaro ma sibola ñin sénégalais nata jubril so murola wala to wala kata saboti miyati na jubrin a fota niola jubrin ay musolatu anin dingo anin ayetu kolya bala kono bayri jubrin saynamu abala duniya kumasi kan punu nyen kamako ko mbeka min hame duniya kono ni ibenyen duniya sita wato la pour ka musota e musota pour dimbaya o ala nata ke jubrin wo musu kilimo ni wo din kilimo ay wala tu jang miliyan ko aketa ni ku ya bati anin balafati yo kabiri wo kol beketa kibarol be janjang kan duniya fanna bela dolbe kibarol genjandi kan kibarol miliyan ko anin ko min keta anin akata nyaadila wo kibarol mantara finti kan duniya arrahmano pour mol safa ham mimbe kering wo sulo kama wala yatin nan to Sanyang kolu fondin kelu nata si jam pour ka kol senandi mol miliyan ko wolle be kering nyin tembeng ko ngafo nyamin Sanyang nyin tembeng factory le be jang factory miliyan ko ay kumandiro kenan baade mala dolle la miliyan ko ka fiele ko fila tournel ñing fila tournel kulungol wolle nata e ka supply di ñing factory la e ke supply ñela yo ñing fila tournel kulungol la ñim mol miliyan ko mo qualité sifa belle bi je miliyan ko ime bodula long ima long mu mollamit Sanyang sate nga min long wala ñinti ko Sanyang ko lafta luntango lale andon e ka luntango jiale e ka topoto bari ñine keta moleti miliyan ko ila hadamaya ni la Kenya ni la kol ndala ngin society fangoti ama wo sifa tolerate ama accept fana ñing kabire ñing factory ko masa jang anyi fila tourner molol mil ko mandina jang suña rol keta janne ñapin kangol keta janne isa fola yafo wo jamalle keta jang andon ñili be a reporto di to di authority sol lale femmamboje fo altarake anata sabu jubril na saya ñinna na boto wala ñin factory o fana nata man toro nin bata sabu ñin satela fenda fako sun kango min ka bona factory ñin kono ayati na fango jang molbi kele ni dia sotono i fango la suwo kono hakelante fango ni rafta domoro fango la ka dumbunga la kono e ke fango soron bunga la kono a boto je fana musolle na ko mili bije ila west ni min ka bo factory kono e ka ba wodin kral milto ayati na musolle na ko fi fangolu ye kasara balle soto wolo kono je kara munta dindongol bi fana alon ko kara mo min alon ko ibe badala ma fangol la ne factory le operation o kumas aka tinna le karambungol ka soronne dindongol ka sey suwo kono fenda fo sun kangol min alon ko aka bona new factory kono Sanyang kolbe ibe nyimbatala kono ibe dengol kono safarol ketale reportol sapetale masa kundala bundati je Sanyang kol male la njuro tandi da milto bare dankuru mangi so woka tandila ko system o ay Sanyang kol neglect le aman Sanyang kol plight anila concern ila hadama ya nyantol man samantara wol jibe kan fulanjango niya jibe tourism and agriculture tourism niya jibe aka fanko min si mansal aka fanko min si na economy la fennom mi alon ko asembo warata baki dun nientele Sanyang jibe Sanyang mudulati ba mi alon ko tiwabu luntangol momo na Gambia e be kala fele yena yeni ji Sanyang sate ko no jang pour ka na bada e se fon so do noje woyatin na Sanyang fonding kele restaurant so do bada to jang mi alon ko yemo jamalata do ko laje ibe do ko laje ke fon nafa na fonding ke dol na harjati babu lajam biwol beti babu du ibe le dimban nafa kan Gambia jande wo muna fongo ya so do nyim bada lot bar bi ñi facture na ñim bada to ayatin na le wo restaurant bi wo restaurant insa fo dal nak ibe buru katale fende fo woti wabo min kana nanje pour que fon soto je wo sun kango wala woti wabo be bay nyimba da to jam silal nyim fana be nyimba da ma fon wala nyi silal fana fon atina nyi sun kango noro mi nga ba nyi facture ko ayatina wala fana siyo anata kolya basa wala fana la jang ayatina sayenten dole fon shede tibabu dul yo ni ajibe do ku wala karola Sanyang funding ke mi do ko soro nyim badala asiata baki factory yo ay momenta nyin sate ko no do ku wala e ke min karu fa jo Sanyang dingo amanta me mo lul yaji be nyin restaurant combination funding ke mi ka balwo nyin dingra nyin to yewol pour together atambe ke me lulo fongalal nyin factory la taro nyim badato ayatina wo funding kelu wol be fota wodo ko lele binyin tambo be sirine e mantara takan e badato ni se do ko kino je pour que le mun fonction to noje nyin tinyaram bebe ke kan jannatin aya wo nyin factory be manya min be ke kan nyim badato wo be mutaman serolte katande ko ntala dandangol memo environment na dandangol sarto ning luwal be lari nyamin ye wol be tinyanne baru wo be nyawonya nyi factory o abe tamakan ne ko e laftala nyamin man samang Sanyang kol lamoy min satina Sanyang kol diminna mo nyimti batada mo mindi min satina factory ka masibo min sinan jang pour waye dang man say nyaka so ke wala Sanyang dalbe nyinte mo min dodon kabirin 2017 nyin kelo ku master world kaje ko nyin factory yo abe soro no nyami boto to nata for 2018 atawo ku kina wala be tamakan factory nyin doje han kabi mansamang Sanyang kolu email ko wala kalamuta soko ni se danko ko ngafo nyami factory yol ila no fengol adiate dawoda e ka fay wolot wati la tambita jang kabiri makan kumata e kata ila nyinno fengol ila nyi wespo lokol e kata fay ko tule ya kumasi ye sunkan wulta ko tu bari mbenga ala ko aka fay ko tu ma fango minna mfanga fo minna ko the big mans we masakunda ala kunu kumani mo ko tangol wala sabatiri wo ma fangol lokon killing wuro kuma ta ko tu wo ma fangol ko sunkan ya akuntu wodo ya sorong lokon killing wo eterma wo sunkan woni wo sunkan ni e matano soko ndar Sanyang ko mini alon ko ba ko tilejel fa karjel oto mini be ko tu wol men fesa Sanyang koldi ni be mo banku dingolati oto mba tandila mansala ko wo is an unfair treatment to the people of Sanyankas musol anin funding kel anin nanyol mil bijang anin Gambian kol janne ñu saña incidence be kela faraba ñin ñon si fara kata ke fayatina mfongala siti fani tiolu ye dinding o funding ke sabanio bota je bulu ibulo kono je dolu baramata femma sabu fo na ñin dandangolu mi yalan ko ñin kenya singol min be keri wo ma fangol mbota woto gunjur fana anyon sifa kada jele mi yalan ko funding ke lulu e mutata jele because of ila protest e min tandi with regards to this fish, Golden Lake fish mill factory ngaboto Sanyang Jibril fanala bango Sanyang jang wo fana mutaman serolati katandi dunia rahmano belako new factory o ane mining activities o mimbe ke kan Sanyang jang moluman la fala ye wosidaldi ye kuol be kele kesamambo jabato andung ni atara ko na nyaton ko karanda farabala e karanda gunjurla oto Sanyang nyumma sibo mangena hapun na Sanyang ni atara ko ibela moy kanje ado nyama e masakunna ibe marli mollel wo molla wo sheda ni la complainol nanda kala fenati mi ala ko ni afotu motuma ni te imu nyaton ko kendoti e nanta kala may wala wo shedalal anila wo complainol e saade ko sinin sa man kana do nyimantoro sifal kon ni atara ko wo mantoro ni wo wo shedal ni atara ko ila moyta num simfata num to num jibrina saya atakela num anan ñu facturer taroja ni amanke nunje to num bi nin jibrin meteral shirin ñim bangoto jan kabir wo kol beketa jibrin mi ya fa mank moy wala quote right now as we are speaking to you people o sansan de media maka nyamintan Sanyang funding ke mon anin fula wala be bankola kasubunda bato mi ya lonko ibe mutarinje oto nyinga de Sanyang kole ni ku yatile akete ye sigu surotile ni ku yati balafa kaja ko na funding kel min ya lonko ibe mutarin mailtu kuma man fa wala ko to min sabu da jubrina sayala ma wotara dulalon ñin tembenteng amma sambal luwa ñati len wala andum luwo bodde je fana Sanyang sade ko na jam fonnin ke jamalle be yemanding because of ibe silarin e kane arrest wala kane mut so right now then ni dala sade ko no abe 15 yarin fonnin ke lalle dolle alfal man itara dulal fangol because of fear of arrest and whatsoever. So mbenyinta mo den Sanyang as a community delivering constant fear lakon. Imantara living nidia kono, imantara living enjoyment kono, and wolbe mele nyanto leti kaje ko banko dingol la meti itara wo kono. Kumo kumfadula mba nakana faila masakunlae civil society international community kaje ko ya wuli ya simfata sajan kolla nyun ko to min satina nyun ko min beka daten sa sino nyaade le in a peaceful dialogue ngaje ko nga bebala na mirankilin kono nga kacha badi yakan hormonin bunya kan kaje ko tollamu bakilin fa kilin ngoltin tollamu gambe di ngoltin min satina na fonnin ke min an ke be muto kono ise bulano nyaade le ni yesi nganyun kol be bang le commandero ke minister of fisheries la environment and other department min yalan ko be da be nyun kol la kono pour kaje ko nyun kolu nsabe fano nyaadile badi ya kono hormonin bunya anin kacha kono ase bando nyamin so o kan mbe mobe tentula mobe jayla bake ala baraka
Taka kodo mutaka bonang UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland ani nyimpanku tomal mu meto. Supersonic Slater dulate. Anada di masanji jama Gambia Bangkokam ise kodo tanole ibe dawo da birin karton fokoina andung batatije. Hade batatije ise kodo tanole ka bonam bantala bankol to birin UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland ani nyimpanku tomal mu beto na doku sone yata atariyata akoita andung allanayata. Gambia
factories, they are always told that they must operate in an area that is very far from built-up areas. This factory is within a short distance of houses where people are, and schools, where people are expected to survive this nasty smells. Now, once you have a chance, if you have a look, the gas that is causing that bad smell is actually hydrogen sulfide, which is a highly toxic gas, and that once it enters the premises, it is very difficult to get rid of it. Hydrogen sulfide gas has been tested on lab animals, and some tests where they did it, 10 out of 10 of the animals died. It caused birth defects in some of the animals, and it is irritant to the lung systems. Now, when people are complaining about the smell and so on, it is, yes, it is nasty to have the smell. But when the government officials and officials that should know that hydrogen sulfide is being released into communities, where you get people actually in Birkama complaining about the smell. What about those people that are 500 meters from the factory? Whenever you see videos of people at the beach, you'll see a lot of young children there. What is being done to their health? We do not have the hospital facilities to really cope with that bad health damage that is being done to the people. We've got added to that, we've got the sand mining where they're thundering down the road. You've got a lot of dust being raised up in the air. That is going to cause lung damage in the long run. People are just begging for the plight of the village, the plight of the individuals, and to stop playing politics with the lives of the people. Let's just try and get something done that is going to be beneficial to the Gambia, and it's going to be beneficial to the village. Like my friend said, Gambian tourism development had generated 20% of the GDP of the Gambia. Apart from that, virtually every village in this area, you find that the schools have been built by tourists. The hospitals have been built by tourists. Why? Because when in the 70s, when tourism was being created, they allowed Sanyang to be just an isolated place where people will come in a Land Rover. As they were going through the villages, they saw how poor these villages are. They actually helped. Now, we are risking a lot of the money that the government is getting from tourism, not even looking at it as a local thing. You're looking at all the development that is happening to all these villages where it was just charity, people that came and decided to be charitable and decided to build schools and build hospitals, etc. Who's going to build those facilities when the tourists stop coming? We look at the Gambian tourism right now, we're looking at possibly 100 and something thousand people. But if you look at the funds that the government calculates as being remittances, a lot of that remittances are from friends of Gambians that are abroad that are sending money to help do things here. So we are damaging a lot of these type of facilities, functions that are helping us. So the villagers, I think, are just saying, look, enough. When the smell is not good enough for the people living in Kotu, honestly, it's not good enough for us. Because he was generous, he said 1 week. I think it was 2 days. First day they poured it, second day they went, and the third day told them not to go back there again. Now, your fellow citizens are suffering. If it is bad to the point that you turn around and say, get it out of here, what type of person will be comfortable to sit at home and just ignore their fellow citizens and expect them to live with that smell 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every single day of the year? That is not done. That is not human. That is not Muslim. Where are they going to take most of this food that they take out of mouths of Muslims? To feed pigs and other animals. Who here eats a pig? When there's a shortage of food, who's going to feed the people? That's one source of protein that most of the villagers get, is the fish that they're eating. When that is allowed to be packed into containers and taken out of the country, it's a great loss, and it is going to be an issue that we have to cope with. Yeah, well, that is basically going to be it. You're going to get malnutrition situations occurring. But I have spoken enough, I think, on this matter. But if anybody wants further information about the hydrogen sulfide and other damages that can be done by these gases, and why in other countries they've been told to move far away, and why in Abene, where they were in Casamas, where they were operating, they all of a sudden stopped. It's all because of the fact that people have gotten enough of risking their own lives to benefit a foreign company. Finally, the Chinese ambassador did the people of Sanyang a great wrong by saying that it is a Chinese company that was being prevented from opening. Yes, the specialists that are working there are Chinese, but the company is technically owned by a Mauritanian. Or are they telling us that a fraud was committed on the Gambia government by registering the company as being owned by the Mauritanian when in fact it was owned by the Chinese? Now, these are all things that should be looked at. These are things that have to be dealt with. You had issues where there was press releases of $8 million was supposed to be taken away from a safe. Now, I do understand some people have never seen $100,000, much rather a million, much rather 8 million. $8 million in $100 notes weighs 3,000 kilograms. You'll need a truck to move that thing out of a factory. What type of mentality is it that they just to do that simple check? They cannot do it. That if we call the central bank and said $8 million is how big a safe do you need for that, they'll know that it cannot fit in the safe. You turn on and they said 5,200 fishing nets were burnt. Most fishing boats that I know of have 2 nets. One, when it's being repaired, they use the other one. At this rate, I think there's maybe about 50 fishing boats in Sanyang. They're talking about 100 nets per boat. Let's use our intelligence. Yes, something happened, and it happened badly. It badly affected everybody that was concerned. The death could have been prevented because the Faraba commission that was held did actually warn that this type of situation can happen in Sanyang, Gunjur, Katong, etc. That report had been ignored at the peril of everybody. I've made warnings about putting the tourists that are attending the beaches at risk, because all these chemicals and produce that is coming from the factory enters the sea, and these people are supposed to be swimming there. I did warn that if a tourist does die on the Gambian beaches because of this factory, you can kiss goodbye to the tourism industry. Because of what Mr. Cisse did, technically one can say he sacrificed his life for the country. Because if that European person died on that incident, you can imagine what would have happened to the Gambia. It's a Gambian life that was lost. But just imagine what would have happened if that European was attacked and killed because of what had happened. Her life or his life is not greater than any of our lives. So we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to start looking at things seriously. Just because it's far away from our home, far away from our children, far away from our parents. I think that's why God sent us COVID, just to remind us that we have to look after each other. If everybody decides I'm going to do what I want, we all die. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So if you have any questions, I think those are the statements that we want to make. Okay.
I'm thinking of basically that there's a possibility of taking legal action against the factory because my house is affected badly. I had already started legal process anyway. Because what happens is that under the laws, you cannot be burning substances in your premises that then disturbs your neighbors. If you started burning tires or things on your premises on a regular basis, the NEA will come and tell you to stop. If you persist, you will be taken to court. Now, I do appreciate that the government has given these people a license. Some of it is licenses that we were not totally aware of, and the government wasn't totally aware of when they started operating. But they did not give them a license to enter my property and trespass upon it. Basically, that is one of the options that we have to look at, apart from taking the factory to court. And if anybody is found wanting, then we will want compensation because we've had enough as far as residents are concerned. Shall I? Yeah. Yeah. Shall I? Basically, the villagers have been holding consultations with every single ministry you can think of. What's the outcome is do not bother us. Do not bother us, basically. You can call it at that. Because if I come and tell you that something is creating a bad smell that is affecting my livelihood, that is likely to make people sick, We were being told that the water that's being released from the factory is drinking water quality. I swear to God, any of those people repeat that in front of me, I will give them a liter of this thing free of charge. I will deliver it to their house. But the problem is, if I deliver it to their house, I'll get arrested because the smell is going to be that bad. Or they will arrest me for trying to poison the person. So what do they think? That they're dealing with a bunch of yokels? We've worked hard for our livelihoods. Some of us, well, for me personally, I was out of this country since 1971. I came back because the government, not this current government, the previous government said for Gambians to come and help develop the country. Whatever happened, we were ready to stand. This government, when the last government refused to leave, I was ready to sacrifice my life to make sure that that did not happen, that we did get the change that we all fought for. But to be ignored to that extent, it hurts. It hurts no matter who it is. When you are going there quietly, going from ministry to ministry to ministry, you going to the governor's office and telling them, the commission was held, the commission told them that what is happening is not right. People have got a right to have enjoy their properties, to enjoy their life. But when it's being ignored, it's just talking issues. When you get people in the evenings going, as an aftermath of what had happened, some people were walking in the evenings, and then there's a big rush of vehicles coming, and people start running. That's how they arrested 50 odd people. Any of you will run when you see everybody else running. So the slowest person gets caught. Now you get taken to mile 2. Why? Because you were running. Only a madman will stand there when you hear that something is being done, and you're likely to be beaten up, or you're likely to get into difficulties. We have a great respect for our leadership. We have great respect for the police. We have respect for the society as a whole. But the society as a whole as well has a burden to make sure that they look after us, to make sure that when things occur and people complain, they don't just turn a blind eye, because all that does is stoke further difficulties at a later stage. Commissions have been held, commissions have made reports. It's better to take those commission reports into account and to make sure that things are handled. Because, like I said, you've got issues that I believe the factory in Gunjur arbitrarily started extending their factory in contravention to the environment impact assessment that was done by the NEA. Instead of just turning around and saying, let's stop these things, you'll probably hear that they've started operating again. What signal does that send to the villages? When you hear that something is going wrong, people are ignoring it. We've had people working at the beach bars that have been suffering from asthma. The asthma was under control. All of a sudden, this guy turns up at work, he is badly ill. He goes home, comes back again. Within a short time, he's died. That guy's family is now left without the breadwinner. At night, basically, like I said, a vehicle will come at high speed. People, there will be large amount of noise occurring, and people will run helter-skelter. Yeah, that's during the night. Virtually all the arrests I've been aware of have been during the night. And we had a meeting with some of the elders from the Combos, where I had said that some of these things, it is not nice to say, but it sounds very much like somebody's trying to stoke problems. We are not actually in a stable situation. If we were, we would not be needing the ECOWAS troops here. And when something like that is prevalent in the country, where you are having to have technically peacekeepers, that means that you're fearful of something occurring from outside. And to have people stirring up trouble during the night, anything could happen. And what would have occurred then if there was escalation? It is one of those things that we've got to have people that think of what likely consequences are. Because until the ECOWAS troops are out of this country, I don't feel that confident that we can turn on and allow certain things to occur. it was not correct for it to occur before we needed the ECOWAS troops, much less now. It is one of those things that we are risking a hell of a lot. Yeah. Well, like you said, it's to consider the people, consider the villagers, consider the situation, and consider that there's an election coming. I think people are angry enough that this time, instead of sitting at home, people are going to be registering and they're going to be ready to vote. I have a feeling that the turnout at this coming election is going to be large, and it is incumbent of all politicians, from the highest to the lowest, to make sure that they do not just cast a blind eye. Because I don't know if you are aware that basically 50% of the Gambian population lives in the Combos. Now, if 50% of the Gambian population are not pleased with the way things are being done, and they decide that they're going to get up and vote, we saw what happened in America. Trump thought he was going to win. But it is one of those things that we don't want to play politics with this. We want to be just heard and to make sure that we are looked after. Or where the waste is normally dumped, where the waste for the whole country is dumped, let them take the waste from here and dump it there. If it is not suitable for the waste dumping ground, then it is not suitable for our backyard. Because one of the things that we used to say in England, NIMBYs, not in my backyard. It's not good enough for the backyards of those people in Kotu. It definitely ain't good enough for the people here, because they cannot afford the medical treatment that a lot of our officials can. Because for me, I can jump on a plane and go and get medical treatment outside. But the majority of the people, what happens? Oh, this person's died. This person's died. What's killed them? We do not know. That's not fair.
Yeah, thank you very much for that important question. At this point in time, we cannot do anything since the matter is before the High Court. So yesterday was the first sitting, and the adjournment was made on the 15th of April. So at this point in time, we cannot do anything unless and until we wait what will be the outcome of on the 15th sittings at the High Court. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, obviously, that's what we suspected, that somebody within our community is the one working with the security men and women, that is identifying these people. That's what we suspected. But as we go along, one day or the other, the person who is behind the bar doing these evil acts, one day or the other will be known to the community. Thank you.
Sorry, I want to attach something to that point. They even arrest some of the youths which are not from. They even arrest some of the youths which are not from Sanyang. Like they say, as the way they arrest the people rapidly, they just come, everyone running. So whoever they caught. Okay. I just wanted to add something on top of that. They even arrest some of the youths which are not from Sanyang. Like they say, the way they come to arrest. the van will come, just like that. Whoever run, they don't know. Either you are part of it. Some of them, they are strangers. Some of them, they just come to restaurants and they are sitting on the whole, they fall under arrest. So that part bothers us a lot, because when you come to Sanyang and you come to arrest the youth of Sanyang, it's involved, then obviously you should not arrest the people who are not part of it. Definitely, that's the point I wanted to add. Is there any question for that?
Thanks a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank you for your... We would like to thank you for attending, especially at short notice. And we do look forward to cooperating as far as a lot of the issues in relation to what is happening and what we are hoping will happen. But we pray that it's not going to be too long before the people that have been remanded at Mile 2 are released in one way or the other, or have a day in court. Because right now we have reports that one of the people that was in the cells with them is confirmed with COVID. And one of the things that the Human Rights Commission had actually said was that for everyone that is being taken to Mile 2, for a test to be done, and if you've got COVID, you were not to be taken into the population of the prison. Now, these people have been remanded into prison, and we're just praying to God that the infection has just been caught, because the person that has been infected has luckily been taken out of the system and is in isolation at the moment. But whether it's too late that we're going to get a massive infection at Mile 2, all we can do is just pray to God that it doesn't get that far. And we pray to God that He does open the eyes and the hearts of our fellow citizens to be kind and to be gentle and to be understanding as to our sufferings. Thank you very much.
Ni laftaka kodo muta.
That's fine. We can have maybe a few side interviews and we are done. Yeah. So thank you so much for accepting our interview. And then if you don't mind, you can have several side interviews with some of our colleagues here. Then we are highly available. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
USA, Canada, Switzerland, aninyi banku tumal mu beto na doku sone yata atariata akoita andung alanna yata. Gambia banku kan Supersonics leading kiral siyata katambinyin tumal mu meti. Supersonics be banku tansabani nani leto fata findu bankul to. Dung ila Google Play Store to wala ila Apple app sign ye Supersonics la money transfer app o download. Porque ifa munafang na service hola.
fu muy fanaan ak kuy wër ku ko wétali xanaa delloo buntu gi war la naa boole Yaa Faatu's Guest House tijjil na leen buntu bi ñu leen fa am ak ñaari cabinet salle yu yaaña
amal leen li nga xamante ne mooy cabinet ak salle ñu ngi leen amal AC ak fan
salle bi nag lépp li ngeen soxla am na fa sofa yu nooy ñoo fa nekk TV bang fa cabinet boo dugga lal yu nooy leen fa amal nañ leen fa AC ak li nga xam ne moom mooy fan toilet yu set wicc amal nañ leen fa kitchen microwave fridge and room bu baax dama ne teranga day mut motax Yaa Faatu's Guest House amal leen extra kitchen lépp lu ngeen bëgg togg mun ngeen ko toggee ci gas cooker bii nii
kuy xalam di ci jaayu nag barke bi yaay borom amal ne li nga xamante ne mooy ndox ak courant 24/7 bu leen tiit bu leen ragal bu leen xof ndax amal ne li di CCTV caméra
seet si leen ñu ci Farafenni gannaaw garage ci Basse bi Kawur highway
very clean every day am na cleaning service ratio bi amul fenn
Yaa Faatu's Guest House teranga aduna bët kon nag seet si leen ñu